Good evening and welcome to Front Page on AIM Network, India's definitive media organization and voice on everything AI and technology. Tonight, India isn't just catching up to the future, it's drafting it. From classrooms turning into AI training grounds to maps transforming into statecraft, from a language model built for a billion to the world's AI leaders converging on Indian soil. A new tech era isn't arriving here, it's actually being built here. And here are the headlines for tonight. In a landmark education reform, India will embed AI into the national curriculum from 2026-27, training over 1 crore teachers and turning classrooms into the front lines of its AI talent mission, reshaping how the next generation learns, builds, and competes globally. With government backing, real-time traffic signal integration, and sovereign mapping infrastructure, MapmyIndia's Mappls is challenging Google Maps head-on, turning what was once just an app into a strategic national asset that could redefine how India navigates, moves, and builds its digital future. India is set to unveil BharatGen, its first national large language model powered by 38,000 deployable GPUs under the India AI mission, a strategic push to build a sovereign AI stack, reduce foreign dependence, and position India as a leading AI hub for the global south. Anthropic will partner with the Indian government to host the Global AI Summit in February 2026, marking a major milestone in India's AI diplomacy as PM Modi and CEO Dario Amode align on responsible AI, talent, and national strategy. So, what if I told you that India is building its own GPT scale model, not a fine tuned clone of something made abroad, but a sovereign LLM trained on Indian data, running on Indian GPUs, and built to speak and understand India in its own languages? Well, it's happening. And it's called BharatGen. We actually first broke this story at Cypher 2025 when Professor Ganesh Ramakrishnan shared that India had officially selected BharatGen to build a 2 billion to 1 trillion parameter model. The energy at Cypher was electric. Industry leaders, policymakers, and researchers all agreed. This isn't just another model, this is India's AI moonshot. We started this as a DST project through a Section 8 company at IIT Bombay. Then the India AI mission aligned and helped us scale. It's now a whole of government approach, end quote. Professor Ganesh said this at Cypher. By the end of 2025, the government of India will unveil BharatGen, a sovereign large language model built entirely on Indian infrastructure, trained on India's linguistic and cultural diversity, and designed to power everything from education and healthcare to agriculture and governance. Here's what makes this move a tectonic shift. 38,000 GPUs have already been deployed nationwide. Compute costs are just 65 rupees per hour, among the lowest globally, by the way. 12 homegrown companies are training foundation models. All data and model training are hosted on sovereign Indian servers. This is the core of India's strategy: low cost, large scale AI infrastructure built for India by India. BharatGen will be capable of understanding and generating content in 22 official Indian languages and multiple regional dialects. It's also multimodal, meaning it can actually process text, speech, and images, making it far more inclusive for India's diverse population. This isn't just another LLM. It's actually a model designed to represent India's voice in the global AI ecosystem. At the pre-summit for the India AI Impact Summit 2026, Métis leadership said it very plainly. This is AI for the global south. The idea: build a low cost, open, and sovereign alternative to Western LLMs like GPT and Gemini, giving nations across Asia, Africa, and Latin America a model they can trust. 12 Indian companies are training foundation models as part of this initiative, including Sarvam AI, Tech Mahindra, Fractal, Socket AI, Genloop, and Zenteek. Sarvam AI has already shown what's possible, outperforming Meta's and Google's models on several Indic benchmarks earlier this year. This LLM isn't just about GPUs, it's actually backed by a national data platform and 600 AI labs across the country. These labs, well, will annotate datasets, build regionally aligned applications, and train the next generation of India's AI talent. This is what digital sovereignty looks like in practice. For years, India has actually relied on foreign models for everything, from public sector pilots to startup stacks. BharatGen changes that. No foreign cloud dependence, full control over training data customization for India's population scale challenges. This is India saying we will not just use AI, we will build it. And this is where it gets very strategic. Unlike the United States or China, India is building a shared AI platform that other developing nations can plug into. This is soft power through infrastructure, turning BharatGen into the world's first Global South LLM. Joining us is today is Professor Ganesh Ramakrishnan, one of the lead architects behind BharatGen. Professor at IIT Bombay, he has spent decades pioneering research in Indian language AI, efficient machine learning, and multimodal systems. He has been actually very central to multiple national initiatives from UDAN, India's end to end translation ecosystem, to Decile, a breakthrough in data efficient AI. And now he's playing a critical, crucial role in shaping BharatGen, the country's flagship sovereign LLM. Welcome to the show, Professor. How are you doing? Very good evening again, Professor. How are you doing? I think there seems to be a slight technical
Can you hear
glitch.
me now?
Or, Professor, are you there?
Yeah, actually, you were
Professor,
muted.
we are in class waiting for you.
Yes, I can hear you now. I can hear
Hello?
you now. Yes, I can hear you now.
Hi, Professor. I can't hear you.
Oh, what's gone wrong? I mean,
Yeah, I can hear you now. Finally, I can hear you.
okay, great.
How are you doing, Professor?
I'm doing very well. Yes, I just
Excellent.
came back from a road show in the US.
Nice.
We went around to the Bay Area seeking participation and help, and also we are augmenting our leadership with full-time roles for BharatGen. So I just
Wonderful.
landed yesterday.
Congratulations, Professor. And I'm pretty sure with this kind of a milestone that has taken place, you won't be feeling the jet lag. Am I right?
Yes, yes. I'm quite
Wo-
overwhelmed with the opportunity.
Wonderful. All right. So, well, Professor, let's start off. So, as far as Bharat Gen, and the question is, why now? The government calls this, well, a sovereign model. Why is it strategically crucial for India to own its AI stack rather than depend on foreign models, Professor? Let's actually start with that.
Thank you. Now, the way these large language models are trained involve several elements of what we call the recipe. Just like
Hmm.
if you had to prepare a dish, if you knew the ingredients, the temperature at which the ingredients need to be mixed,
Hmm.
you could actually administer it in the most healthy manner, in the most appropriate manner. Likewise, if these models, you know that if you know the genesis of these models, the data went into that got into these models, the way the text was broken into units, which we call tokens, the more provenance or the more visibility we have through the entire stack, the deep tech stack that is required to produce these models, the more these models could be catering to the people, the beneficiaries, the
Hmm.
stakeholders, in as much as the transparency in extent of transparency that you have in preparing a dish will help cater to those who eat much better, right? So therefore I would say better late than never. I mean, it's good that we
Hmm.
are realizing, due to geopolitical situations, the need for being completely self-reliant in every bite. The other important part is this is actually part of a continuum. The model
Hmm.
grows with data, the model grows with its user base. So here's an opportunity for us not only to ensure that there is data sovereignty
Hmm.
through model sovereignty, but here's
Hmm.
also an opportunity to co-create. We can operate differently. Do we need to operate like OpenAIs and uh, the groks of the world? We could operate differently.
Good point.
We showed that in the case of UPI. So here's
Hmm.
also an opportunity where people, the stakeholders, can also be part of the creation process.
Wonderful, Professor. Actually, two very, very incisive points. One is, of course, as you mentioned, extremely important as far as the geopolitical scenario is concerned. And the other is actually a flight of creation. That why is it that we have to follow anyone else's model? We can go ahead and create something wonderful and magical of our own. Which actually brings me to this, which is that at Cypher 2025, I remember you had spoken about actually how BharatGen started as a DST initiative and later aligned with the India AI mission. Can you actually unveil for all of our viewers and us as well in terms of how this multi ministry coordination is shaping India's AI roadmap?
Thank you. This helps me build, your question helps me build upon the point I stated previously, which is doing
Right, sir.
things differently.
Right, sir.
Here's an opportunity where we can operate as a whole of nation, right?
Hmm.
The
Hmm.
government, with all credit, right? The Department of Science and Technology, through its NMICPS program, funded us to the tune of 235 crores for a period of 2 years. And when we were able to show our progress, the India mission happily jumped and wanted to support us to the
Hmm.
tune of 900 plus crores. Now, this also shows the power of operating with a whole of government framework.
Hmm. Hmm.
While the government has, shown, set a very good precedent, right, and shown how it can operate holistically, at the level of the implementation, which is being done through a consortium. We are a consortium of seven and now nine academic institutions. So we are totally
Right.
nine academic institutions led by IIT Bombay. We've also tried to set that precedent that we going to operate together. It's not going to be a
Hmm.
one-man show. Um, and the other important part is we have also brought a corporate structure into the execution. So in spirit, it is a public-private partnership. In spirit,
Hmm.
there is, as you know, a Section 8 company, because of which we are able to hire very good talent. We have an excellent CEO. We have an excellent, corporate structure. We've in fact got back two wonderful, brilliant minds who've spent several decades in the US at top-notch in top-notch ecosystems. They're trying to bring
Hmm.
that practice and culture here. So you can see we have actually
Hmm.
created a runway for leveraging the best of everything, right? The best of government support across ministries. Each ministry brings its strength. The best of academic institutions, the diversity that we have is actually our strength. The fact that we are situated in different parts of India, ranging from IIT Madras in the south to IIT Kanpur, IIT Kharagpur, IIT Bombay, there's IIT Hyderabad, Triple IIT Hyderabad, and
Nice.
not just the IITs. I mean, we have Triple IIT Delhi, but we also have Indian Institute of Management Indore, right? A management institute which is adding to the
Hmm.
diversity by taking complete ownership of data. They actually go to many of the second tier cities and third tier cities, um, towns in India, and are able to converse with people,
Hmm.
converse with entities who have data and help create the dialogue, right? The data
Hmm.
is, if you view the data as a commodity, then unfortunately people again become just consumers. But
Hmm.
if you look at data as a means for dialogue creation, you can co-create. So the Indian Institute of Management Indore, I actually set a very good example there. So you can see the diversity at every level
Hmm.
The whole coming because of this whole of nation approach is adding strength, and that way we are also ensuring that there is sufficient insurance, right? Sufficient redundancy in the entire system.
Hmm. So, if I understand this correctly, Professor, I mean, this synergy, as you mentioned, private public, uh, am I understanding this correctly? That this at the heart of it is truly actually the dialogue creation, which is probably the secret sauce or that secret excitement, which is definitely going to assist us in building to that 1 trillion parameter. So, you recently actually had shared the goal of scaling BharatGen to a 2B to a 1 trillion parameter model. What does it take to actually build something at that scale from India in terms of compute, data, and research? Is it this synergy, Professor, or is it something more?
You're spot on. It is the synergy
Hmm.
between academic excellence and best practices from the industry, whether it's the ML ops or the data ops. Synergy between what the government and its different agencies can offer in terms of providing some very good use case, and the public, who are the ultimate stakeholders. So
Hmm.
you really basically hit the nail on the head with this keyword synergy here. Now,
Hmm.
for 1 trillion parameter, right? Uh, why why should we also create a different model wherein a single entity helps create these large models in collaboration with others, and in that process caters to others?
Hmm.
Does it make sense for having multiple instances of 1 trillion parameters in a nation like India? I mean, we all
Hmm.
know the amount of electricity consumption that
Sure.
OpenAI is hitting, right? And does that look sustainable is a question for us to answer.
Hmm.
So, in a scale out approach, as against a scale up approach, the
Hmm.
sovereignty and the digital public good that this sovereign entity creates actually becomes a catalyst for many other entities. So rather than competing, we cooperate.
Hmm.
If you know what have also resulted in very good small language models. Small language models can be very effective when they are distilled from large models, right? The process
Hmm.
of distillation from large
Correct.
models results in smaller, more effective smaller models. So we would like India to have excellent small language models. We would like the many of the private entities and public entities alike in India to be able to even
Hmm.
build the small language models and break monopolies. But in that process, facilitate this process of distillation. Distillation, obviously, it could be at the model level, could be at the data level, but could be also at the level of practice. When we talk
Correct.
about building recipes in this ecosystem, these recipes,
Hmm.
when they are made available, people can replicate them. Um, I mean, since you talked about the scale, right?
Yeah.
22 Indian languages, 22 scheduled Indian languages is the bare minimum. We are talking
Yeah.
about 700 plus dialects. So,
Sure.
moment we bring in multiple languages, we also need to ensure that we are leveraging the language similarity in the most effective manner. If you look at
Hmm.
the structure of Indian languages, there's a lot that they enjoy in common. Lexical,
Right.
the sense vocabulary might vary, but even the vocabulary, the use of phonemes as you move
Yes.
across India shows a gradient, right? There's
Oh,
a
yeah.
gradient. So the moment we have a whole of India approach, moment there's a participation, you actually see the unity in this diversity, right?
Hmm.
Moment you're able to create digital public goods, we can ensure that people are building upon open source repositories.
Hmm.
We've been contributing to an open source repository we built called Decile, which stands for Data Efficient Learning. So how can we bring data efficiency, compute efficiency, leverage diversity to actually become our strength?
Fair enough. You know what, Professor, I have to say this. I thought you put it across beautifully, and this was my takeaway from what you just spoke about. When you said that instead of competition, let's cooperate. And I think that that was very well said, which actually, and you was also mentioned about the fact that the infrastructure, of course, to build at that scale, the infrastructure required, well, as far as the power is concerned, that's just one of the facets that you mentioned, is a challenge. But here comes also another very big one. You just very uh, glancingly alluded to that in terms of the 22 languages. I just want you to give us a slightly more in-depth understanding of it. BharatGen supports 22 official languages. What are the technical and linguistic challenges of building a truly inclusive model that performs well across such a diverse landscape. You just mentioned, of course, the dialects and their various aspects, but maybe a slightly deeper dive, Professor?
Yes, thank you. Um, One of the challenges is getting access to sufficient data in each of those languages, right? Each of those dialects. Um, and the challenge is not just in the procurement of such data, but also in the process of data curation, ensuring that the data is actually ingestible, used, useful
Hmm.
for the uh, LLM pipeline. How do we? How are we mitigating? How are we trying to overcome this challenge? I'll take the example of speech. So
Hmm.
while we have collected 12,000 plus hours of speech data in a very short span of time, what we've actually built are very good, very robust agentic models, agentic approaches for data cleansing, for ensuring that data deduplication, or rather duplicate data is discovered
Hmm.
at its source. Especially when you're dealing with multiple vendors, it
Hmm.
becomes a bit more challenging.
Hmm.
How do you also train the vendors? Our goal is not just to question the authenticity of vendor data, but also help upskill the vendors,
Yeah.
right, in doing their own data sanity check.
Hmm.
So when I talk about ecosystem, ecosystem is everyone is learning. We are learning, but we are also helping others learn in that process. So data provenance. So the point number one is speech. When we ventured into large scale data, we realized that we need a lot of data provenance. We need systematized agentic approaches for ensuring data cleansing
Hmm.
and also empower everyone in that ecosystem to understand and learn and upgrade themselves. So
Hmm.
that was one approach which I talked about for speech. Likewise for text. Now there's no one size fits all. However,
True.
some principles are common in terms of
Hmm.
text also. We have
Hmm.
not, as I mentioned, due credit to the Indian Institute of Management Indore and our team that works with them. Um,
Hmm.
there has been a massive outreach to many of the second tier and third tier cities, especially libraries which have put effort to actually digitize their content, but they're not yet
Hmm.
digitalized, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
we've
Hmm.
actually been offering to many libraries a service, a
Hmm.
service wherein they can get their content digitalized, OCR'd, in some cases even translated,
Hmm.
and this is with no strings attached. They are welcome to actually use the data at their end, but we also make a earnest request that since this is a sovereign model, they could
Hmm.
also contribute to this sovereign effort. And many of them have actually been very kind and
Yes.
sharing the data under proper agreements. So
Hmm.
uh, I think the point here is participation,
Hmm.
upskilling, and a somewhat scaled out, decentralized approach, which can also ensure that there is data sanitization, data curation, not only at our end, but also at the
And
source from where they are procured.
hmm. You know what,
This is
Professor? I
one
mean,
challenge. Yeah,
sure. Sorry, you were saying.
yeah, this is one challenge, but technically, the diversity of Indian languages, while it's often spoken about,
Hmm.
um, hidden in that challenge of diversity is also the integral unity. And
Hmm.
I'll give examples. When
Hmm.
you look at speech, I mentioned this earlier. As you move, you'll find that the vocabulary doesn't change all of a sudden, right? As you
Hmm.
move across India, right? And if you especially collect pin code level data, you can see the gradient as you move across pin codes
Hmm.
in terms of the utterances, in terms of the vocabulary, but the grammatical structure, there's a lot of similarity, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I always give the example. While English is predominantly subject, verb, object,
Hmm.
Indian languages are predominantly subject, object, verb, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So, I mean, this is really at high level. In fact, one of my colleagues was Arnav Bhattacharya and our team. We brought out a book called Samanvay.
Hmm.
Samanvay in Sanskrit means interlingua. So,
Hmm.
interlingua for Indian languages. So, when you start looking at in Indian languages, like we talk about whole of government, whole of right? Academia and
Sure.
research and industry. Means look at the whole of Indian language approach, so that someone way emerges, and then we actually show through several illustrations, right? When
Hmm.
you start with the intent of finding canonical forms in Indian languages, the canonical form actually exists.
Hmm.
The subject verb
Yes.
object verb
Hmm.
example is just the tip of the iceberg.
Hmm.
So the opportunities also exist in this diversity, and we've been consciously working on leveraging those opportunities.
Professor, you made it sound very honestly, it was understandable very for all of us very easily the way you made it sound. But one of the things that immediately came to my mind was it's a Herculean task. So, if I may submit very humbly and ask you, what kind of a, before I move on to, well, the data efficiency aspect, what kind of a timeline are you looking at this? Because, I mean, there is a lot of work that is required from the vendors and for them to, come in, because one is not doing this just for as a one time thing. This is an ever evolving situation. So, the learning is very important for the vendor base and for the fact that everyone in this process has to learn. But there has to be some sort of maybe a timeline aspect that you might have thought of, that okay, first phase maybe this much, second phase, it might be very interesting for you to maybe shed some light on that.
So yes, when we made the proposal to the India emission, we did come up with a timeline which was uh, based on the model size. Right? So if you had to go all the way to 1 trillion parameters, and I'm talking about the text model,
Mm-hmm.
um, you obviously cannot jump to 1 trillion parameters immediately. You need
Sure.
to ensure that you grow in well planned stages,
Hmm.
right? So, for example, if you had 15 trillion tokens, 70 billion parameter model would be ideal for this, for training
Hmm.
a 15 trillion token model. And the number of days estimated with, say, 1024 GPUs would be around 76 days. So I'm just giving
Right.
you one ballpark figure.
Sure,
On the
sure.
other hand, if the token count goes to 48 trillion tokens, an ideal fit would be, say, 1.3 trillion parameters.
Hmm.
And with maybe one order higher number of GPUs, which is 16,000 GPUs,
Hmm.
we would need 108 days. Right? So this gives you an idea of the
Sure.
amount of time required for different size models.
Sure.
So the natural thought would be, okay, why don't you start with 70
Hmm.
billion,
Hmm.
120 billion, and then
Hmm.
220 billion, 450 billion. I mean, kind of, go at a kind of linear scale.
Hmm.
However, experience has shown throughout the world that often these smaller models are better and more effective when they are distilled. You remember
Right.
this? I talked about distillation
Yes,
when
you
they're
did.
distilled from
Yes.
the larger models.
Hmm.
So, do we really need to go
Hmm.
or grow the model size in this linear phase?
Hmm.
So that's where we have come up with a slightly alternative plan where we say we have begun, in fact, with the tranche of money we received from the Department of Science and Technology, even before the India emission stepped in, we
Hmm.
did build models of up to 10 billion parameters and progressively going to 14 billion and then 70 billion. However, we don't need to really do this linearly. Uh, Beyond a particular point, we're going to jump to the 1 trillion parameter scale, right?
Hmm.
I'm kind of keeping it open here because we are in constant discussion with India emission on how much compute they're able to actually
Fair enough.
provide to us, right, given other constraints.
Sure.
So, but the spirit is that yes, have some of these important checkpoints, 70 billion, 120 billion, but then move fast enough to 1 trillion so that we can come back and distill.
Wonderful. And that is finally what matters, the spirit, Professor. You pioneered Decile, enabling models to be trained with less data and lower cost. So, how is this approach giving BharatGen, well, a strategic edge over big budget models from the West, which is a big one, Professor?
Yes. So a little bit of background on Decile. Decile's genesis was in several of the industry engagements I had prior to BharatGen. I mean, these include companies that resulted from work we did at IIT Bombay. One example was the company that actually worked on video surveillance analytics.
Hmm.
Um, and we built the models. We helped identify effective sources of the data that would help these models be trained efficiently as well as avoid what we call overfitting, right?
Hmm.
So when we, in fact, some of that work was so impactful that we were actually awarded a national e-governance award, a gold medal. This was
Wonderful.
in 2022. Coming back, well, when we build these products, whether it's video surveillance, whether it is human in the loop machine translation, we realize that there are several components that can be distilled out from these experiences and released as open source. And that was the
Hmm.
genesis of design, which stands for data efficient learning.
Nice.
Now, the abbreviation expands as data efficient learning, though there's also a significant component of compute efficient learning.
Hmm.
And there are two broad sets of suites of algorithms in Decile. One suite of algorithms which are largely based upon subset selection, core set selection, right? When when I have bulbs to be lit up in a conference room,
Hmm.
do I need all the bulbs lit up? I would probably prioritize those which are concentrated in areas where there are people seated, right?
Hmm.
So that's one consideration. But what's the other consideration in lighting up those bulbs? Well, you want to make sure all people are covered.
Yes.
Right? You don't want any region of darkness in
Yes.
areas that are occupied. Now think of people to cover, right? As the end users.
Hmm.
Think of the bulbs that are being lit up as data points. So what we want
Nice.
is a of data points catering to multiple people,
Hmm.
which means there's diversity being catered to. At the same time, there's representation. You also want to make sure that the heat map in the classroom is properly
Hmm.
represented in the
Hmm.
bulbs that are lit up. You don't want all the bulbs lit up in regions that
Hmm.
are unoccupied. So this that one big suite of algorithms for subset selection, core set selection,
Hmm.
targeted
Hmm.
subset selection. If I give you a target, if I give a query, how do I find that subset more effectively?
Hmm.
There's another suite of algorithms which are largely based on the paradigm of data programming. And
Hmm.
what is data programming? Often when I annotate data, right, the process
So.
of data annotation for duration or any other task is often based on some guidelines. What
Hmm.
we built in as part of something called semi-supervised data programming in Design is I could translate my guidelines into programs, could be complex Python programs.
Hmm. Hmm.
So what happens is I bring consistency in that process. I don't
Hmm.
My over reliance on too much of annotated data is being compensated
Hmm.
through the process of writing these data programs.
Hmm.
And in addition to writing programs to annotate, we can also have small amount of human annotation done on instances on which the human annotation will make a difference, right? That's very
Hmm.
important. You
Hmm.
annotate when it makes a difference. So
Sure.
a combination of these two led to this data efficient paradigm. Now, I'm not saying that everything that is of relevance for large language models can be captured in a library like this, but
Hmm.
this did give rise to lots of very amazing churning of algorithms within BharatGen as well to bring
Hmm.
in the concept of provenance, explainability by design rather than in retrospect, and efficiency.
Hmm.
Um, when you look at the different stages of a large language model training, you have this constant challenge, right? What subset of data should be picked in the first phase? What should be
Sure.
selected in the second phase? And
Hmm.
how much should be the overlap between the first phase and the second phase? So there are lots of these what we call discrete subset selection problems.
Hmm.
But yeah, more for a in detail technical discussion. I hope I didn't overwhelm you with my
Not at all,
explanation.
Professor. Actually, to be honest, it must be a delight being a student of your class, because I could genuinely understand a lot with the way you have navigated through an example. So, thank you so much for that. And of course, we understood that with that annotated data and those models that are being built is where probably the cost saving is. You've actually previously said Indian languages can't just be tokenized, Professor, on foreign models. So this brings in that trust, ethics, and that particular narrative and discussion. So how does Bharat Gen protect linguistic identity, ethical guardrails, and content sovereignty?
Right. So, thank you for this question. I'll keep this short
Sure,
and preserve more for a more detailed conversation.
sure, sure.
The linguistic identity, I think it's very important to highlight that besides the grammatical structure similarity, which I talked about earlier, there are even within a language like Hindi, right? If you have the words khata, upachta, sota, now you could break these words
Hmm.
arbitrarily, you could break these words based on frequency, but you may lose semantics. So, for example, upachta can be broken as u and pachta, right?
Correct.
But that's a problem because we have upajna, right?
Hmm.
Upachite. Then you have inconsistency. So if you start breaking these tokens at meaningful boundaries, you can
Hmm.
ensure that you can leverage the different morphological variants of the same what we call root form. And this is also very much inspired by Panini's, Prakriti Pratyaya, which you'll find in all Indian languages, the Prakriti
Sure.
Pratyaya concept. Um, now, this is an example of how we actually try and bring the originality of Indian languages, the linguistic identity part. Likewise, we've been working extensively on creating guardrails. Now, some of the guardrails come much later in the model, but there are also approaches by which we try and bring guardrails into the model itself. Sometimes these guardrails are best exposed also during inference, for example, multi-token prediction and speculative decoding.
Hmm. Hmm.
I try to keep it short. I thought we were running out of time.
Fair enough, Professor. Fair enough. Could get a sense of what you were trying to convey with that. Unlike GPT or Gemini, Professor, BharatGen actually has also been positioned as a shared model for the global south, which is a brilliant initiative. How do you envision collaboration with countries in Asia, Africa, and Latin America?
Yeah, thank you. So, BharatGen has always been envisaged as um, an ecosystem building catalyst, right,
Hmm, hmm,
for the entire world, because
hmm.
diversity is respected by design.
Sure.
Now, one aspect of this is, of course, the global south through talent, expanding the
Hmm,
ecosystem through talent growth.
hmm,
But the other is, of course, also helping them in that process build models
hmm,
um, based on
hmm,
their observations of diversity for Africa and Latin America,
hmm, hmm,
etc.
hmm.
So I think instead of spreading ourselves too thin by trying to rebuilding models for them, I think we need to do our, as you rightly pointed out, it's such a big, an overwhelming task even for India, right? And
Yes.
this is not, uh, I mean, this is not an instant gratification path that we have taken. This is going to be
Sure.
a long, very intense journey. So if we upskill them, we can ensure that this democratization remains.
Fair enough, Professor. Of course, finally, Professor, before we let you go, the fact that what is the road ahead looking like? I do understand that it's not easy as we just discussed, it's not instant gratification, but there is a spirit, but there is a sense of excitement, but there is a sense of inspiration. So, Bharat Gen 2026 and beyond, what does success look like? Well, let's say in the next 3 years, Professor, do you see Bharat Gen becoming the default AI layer for India, powering education, healthcare, and public infrastructure?
Thank you. So I'll allude to what we have been doing so far and then
Hmm.
move on to where we see that growing.
Sure.
What we've been doing is building out not only small language models and then slightly larger models, but also building domain specific models, whether it's finance, legal, agriculture, and more will come. Um, and the moment we start putting out these models, entities start reaching out to us, companies reach out to us, ministries reach out to us, and it becomes a kind of catalyst for their entire dialogue. Say, can we now build the next version together? Often our models are not. catering to the what we call the heavy tail of queries, right? So
Hmm.
you may land up catering to the head distribution, but the tail is pretty heavy,
Hmm.
and the tail is like most of diversities. Actually, that is exactly the intent. We are very happy when these entities reach out to us and they say, well, can we work with you for the next model release? All right, and we kind of co-develop. So we are seeing that happen, and in the long run, that's what I see happening. While we keep building our expertise in building foundational models from the first byte to the last byte,
Hmm.
we expect that the digital public goods that we put out
Hmm.
create an avenue for dialogue with entities,
Hmm.
companies big and small alike. In some cases, it may just be sharing of knowledge and data of models, and in some
Hmm.
cases, it might actually be the other way as well. They may also want to participate and help co-create. Um,
Sure.
so what I envision is this is like setting up BharatGen and its large language models is basically like setting up the highway, but the highway needs to reach
Hmm.
every village. In fact, it has to reach every small hutment. In
Nice.
order to do that, you need all those narrower pathways, which are best built by people who understand that ecosystem better, because it's not just about building those
Yes.
pathways; it's also about maintaining them, upgrading
Hmm.
them.
Hmm.
So that participatory approach ensures that there is ownership, and then there is also agility and freshness to the
Sure.
entire model rollout.
Wonderful, Professor. So, I guess we have had some very valuable insights from your end. It is an ever evolving process. You have mentioned a very complex and a very dense vendor network, the whole of government, the whole of India language ecosystem. I would like finally for you to maybe very, very briefly give out a message to all of those people, our viewers, everyone, and the best way that we can all contribute towards this becoming a roaring success.
Thank you. That's an excellent note to conclude this conversation. Um, my appeal to everyone here is all the audience, everyone in India, even in fact abroad, is to first of all wear the hat of an IP creator, right? There's a lot of worry, there are apprehensions about whether we'll just become victims of AI.
Mhm.
My appeal is that have wear the conviction that we can actually co-create with AI. We can co-create, uh, and that's only possible when you become good at your respective domains. And someone who's excelled in legal domain, we would like that person to continue excelling. So bring your self confidence in the domain, because that is going to make a big difference in delivering the best solutions, building use cases, user stories in your respective domains. So please bring your domain and your confidence to the table. We'll be happy to collaborate. We are small. We are also trying to hire. So a natural call would be also to apply to BharatGen, right? We are
Nice.
a small leadership team which we need to grow. We need to grow at every level in our team. So more we
Hmm.
can grow, the more we can cater to such partnerships. But even as we grow, we would request people with that creative mindset, co-creation, IP generation mindset to actually reach out. The second point is whatever models we keep putting out, please feel. I mean, and there's it is India's right. All these models belong to India. So my request
Nice.
is please try and build upon those. Uh, we reach out to us if you lack recipes in leveraging those models that are put out on Hugging Face. Go to Hugging
Hmm.
Face and you'll find BharatGen models. Likewise, if you go to AI Kosh, it is Ministry of IT or India Mission hosted repository, you'll find BharatGen models there. Try using them, whether it's speech, text, or document vision models. And please do reach out to us with your experiences. The more technically grounded your responses are, the more we can move fast, because we are a very strong technical team. Uh, so that's my second request. And a third request is if you have any strategic vision, please
Hmm.
again reach out to us, because a strategic vision is going to be very critical. As you pointed out, this is going to be a long journey.
Yes.
Companies with a strategic vision, and then I'm very grateful that some who have realized that India can operate very differently from the West. We have obviously seen.
Hmm.
UPI being an example which also preserved our savings economy while democratizing through payment gateways. So my request is if you can also think, wear your creative hat, given your experiences around the world, on how we could leverage this in ways that I haven't maybe spoken about or we haven't even thought about, we'll be very delighted. Thank
You
you.
know what, Professor? Thank you so much. And I just have to say that with that message, I'm sure a lot of the people watching and beyond are going to be very inspired. And we are, of course, also going to make a very humble request to everyone watching. And we're going to keep plugging this in time and time again to ensure that it is, like I had mentioned, a roaring success. And with your guiding light and with the team doing the way things the way it is, I have no doubts in that. Thank you again, Professor, for joining us
Thank you.
on Front Page.
I would like to end with one more compliment.
Please, sir.
I'm actually a great fan of what Cypher has been doing, um, and
Thank
in
you.
general, Analytics India, because I think you've been trying to build that ecosystem. So while there's a call for participation, I would like to call out the extremely proactive step that Cypher, Analytics India, and of course many other similar initiatives are putting by actually helping build the Indian AI ecosystem. So the best way, right, the best proof of the pudding is in the eating. So you get your feet on the ground. I remember my wife and I attended a organic farmers workshop long
Hmm.
back, right? And we 10 days of organic farming practice. And as we were departing, we got the most important message, right? The best organic farming is a farmer's feet on the ground. Right? So I
Beautiful.
find that you've been doing that. Your feet are on the ground, and I think with that enthusiasm and you know excitement, when you also share this message, it's going to do wonders amongst the people. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor, once again. And that last message and your encouragement definitely helps the team keep going on and on and on. Of course, finally, with such an invigorating conversation comes, of course, a summary, which is this. This, well, isn't just about launching a new AI model as we've understood. This is about India claiming its place at the AI table, not as a consumer, but as a builder of global infrastructure. BharatGen isn't just trained on Indian data, it's trained on India's vision, multilingual, inclusive, sovereign, and built for billions. This could be the moment that turns the AI decade into India's decade. And you know what? It's our responsibility as a collective consciousness to make that possible. We'll take a small little break on Front Page, and we are going to be back with lots more only on AIM Network. Till then, think AI, think Bharat Gen, think AIM.
We are AIM Media House. Born in Nama, Bengaluru. Built for the world. We make tech make sense. We tell stories that matter. This is the era of AI, and we are the ones telling its story. Think AI, think AIM.
And I've seen this place grow from strength to strength. Speakers, the sessions, and the vibe around that.
Love the vibe. Love to see how big it has gotten over the years.
The largest AI conference in India.
Cypher has definitely attained a cult status.
Artificial intelligence.
AI.
Coexisting.
AI.
We are AIM Media House. Born in Nama, Bengaluru. Built for the world. We make tech make sense. We tell stories that matter.
Welcome back to Front Page, and we are very proud to bring you this. India just fired one of its biggest shots yet in the Swadeshi tech movement, and it's aimed squarely at Google. Mappls, a fully homegrown navigation platform by MapmyIndia, has officially stepped up as India's answer to Google Maps with a massive government endorsement, real-time traffic signal integration, and a digital address system built with India Post and ISRO. From powering 80 to 90% of in-car navigation to now being positioned as India's sovereign mapping backbone, Mappl is not just another app. It's a national infrastructure play. A lot of you in the comment section requested us, and we remember, to get MapmyIndia on the show when we did an exclusive interaction with Zoho CEO Mani Vembu. And today we are very proud that we are joined by the man who built it from scratch. Please make sure that you are not going anywhere. Well, the story begins with a very simple post. Union IT Minister Ashwini Vaishnav shared a video of himself using Mappls in his car, writing this: Swadeshi Mappls by MapmyIndia. Good features, must try. End quote. This wasn't just another product endorsement, it was a signal from the top. In the video, the minister showcased the 3D junction view, a feature that helps drivers clearly navigate over bridges and underpasses, a problem that's been very deadly in the past. We all remember November 2024. 3 people lost their lives, unfortunately, in Uttar Pradesh after being misguided by Google Maps onto an under construction bridge. Mappls' answer to that? 3D junction views, localized navigation, and India First design. Unlike global mapping platforms, Mappls isn't retrofitting foreign tech for India. It's built in India for India. 3D junction views, built for India's notoriously complex flyovers. Indoor navigation from one floor to another in malls or offices. Live traffic signal timers, already live in Bengaluru, making it India's first city to offer real-time signal countdowns inside a navigation app. DigiPin integration. Every 3.8 meter square block of India gets its own unique digital address thanks to a collaboration between India Post, ISRO, and IIT Hyderabad. Sovereign mapping. All data is stored within India. No foreign servers, no dependency on external players. This is not just a product upgrade, it's actually a digital sovereignty statement. The rollout has already started. Bengaluru Traffic Police, Arcadis India, and MapmyIndia have integrated over 125 live signals across the city. Imagine seeing how many seconds are left at a red light before you even reach the junction. No more random guessing, no more last minute lane changes. This isn't just a commuter feature, it's actually the foundation for smart mobility. And Mappls isn't stopping here. The goal? Very clear: nationwide traffic signal integration and railway navigation through an MOU with Indian Railways. Here's where it gets very strategic. MapmyIndia has officially urged the government to pre-install Mappls on all smartphones made under the PLI scheme. Exactly how Google Maps comes by default today, Rakesh Verma says this: if that happens, we can meet Google head to head, end quote. And this isn't an empty claim. MapmyIndia powers 80 to 90% of automotive navigation in India, partners with 10 plus government departments from GSTN to railways to CBDT. Apple Maps uses MapmyIndia data in India. It's actually a front runner for upcoming defense and oil infrastructure mapping tenders. This isn't David versus Goliath. This is India building its own Goliath. Let us actually step back and take a macro view for a second. First came Zoho's Aratai, challenging WhatsApp. Then Zoho Office taking on Microsoft. And now Mappls, challenging Google Maps head on. Well, this aligns perfectly with India's larger push for digital self reliance after the recent United States India trade flare ups. And unlike previous attempts like coup, MapmyIndia has infrastructure, ecosystem, and government backing. For decades, India has relied on foreign platforms for its digital backbone, maps, payments, and productivity. But as Rakesh Verma puts it, if America shuts down GPS or Google walks away, India stands on its own. End quote. Mappls isn't just a feature rich app, it's a national asset, a sovereign layer for everything from civilian navigation to defense logistics. And if the government mandates pre installation, the market could tilt overnight. And joining us now, as promised, is the man who saw this before anyone else did, Rakesh Verma, Managing Director, Chairman of the Board, and co founder of MapmyIndia. An engineer from BITS Pilani and an MBA from Eastern Washington University, he returned to India in the early 1990s, leaving behind a successful career in the United States to build something, well, no one believed India needed back then. That is, digital maps. Rakesh, of course, has been honored as Geospatial Leader of the Year, featured in Harvard Business Review, and continues to shape India's mapping policy at the national level. Welcome to Front Page, Rakesh. It's a true pleasure and an honor to have you with us.
Thank you for getting me on your show. I'll be happy to share whatever you want me to talk about. I leave it to you, and then once I get started, I guess I don't know when I'll stop.
You know what, Rakesh sir, we don't want you to stop because truly this is a momentous occasion. This is a momentous moment
Should
as
I
far as India is
continue?
concerned. Yes, sir. Rakesh, can you hear me? I
I
hope there is
can't
no
hear
gap.
anybody.
Rakesh sir, can you hear me? Uh, can you speak? Can you listen? Can you hear me out?
Yes, I can now.
Now
Go
we
on.
can. Okay. So I just wanted to tell you, if you missed out on what I mentioned earlier, we don't
No.
want you to stop because this is definitely a momentous milestone for all of us and we are very proud of it.
Okay.
So Obviously, I would like for us to start with this, Rakesh, which is the momentum, the government support. That must be such a wonderful shot in the arm. Union Minister Ashwini Vaishnav recently publicly used Mappls in his car and praised features like 3D junction view and real time alerts, an unmistakable signal. And so, how do you interpret this moment? Does it actually change your urgency, strategy, or positioning going forward?
Well, you said it all. The
Right.
momentum, this momentum is probably, I would say, in our case, is the second momentum that we have gotten. Let me first talk about the one you talked about, just said.
Yes, sir.
When we met the minister 2 days back on Saturday evening, it was so good to hear from a minister of that rank to ask us, okay, you make Mappls app, but what is the basis of your sustainable business?
Hmm.
Because many apps have come in India in the past, you must be knowing,
Yeah.
but they could not create a sustainable business. Now, in our case, fundamentally, we have a very strong platform.
Hmm.
The platform which was created as back as 2004. Of course, there has been huge upgradation or technology changes, and all that has been happening. This was prior to when Google landed up in India.
Hmm.
When we launched the MapmyIndia.com portal and a portable device in
Hmm.
2000 to help consumers
Hmm. 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 Hmm.
and that's when the MapmyIndia brand became popular.
Hmm.
We were, we literally got kicked out of the handsets in spite of the fact that many handset manufacturers prior to 2008 were using Mappls app,
Hmm.
or we called it MapmyIndia apps at that time.
Hmm. Hmm.
We turned around, created the technology that got embedded into the automotive vehicle.
Hmm.
And now we are creating the technology for the automotive for what they call it autonomous driving, high
Hmm.
definition maps. Okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
So this has been the our journey of innovation, innovation, innovation. That's set that is very much in the DNA of the founders, along with Rohan Verma, whom you might have also interacted with at some
Hmm.
time, a
Hmm.
Stanford graduate. So three
Hmm.
of us together, along with 1,400 employees who are working relentlessly, and now this momentum has happened in the last 10 days. And if I just say yesterday only, one day impact, we had 2 lakh app downloads between Android and iOS. Plus,
Congratulations, sir. Let's take a moment, actually. Congratulations, because
thank you.
I could sense from your voice, Rakesh, that it must have been such heartbreak, as you mentioned, the monopoly, the dominance in the early days, the fact that all three of you kept your faith, all three of you kept your innovations going, all three of you kept your momentum going, you never gave up. So I really wanted you to savor that moment. That's why I stopped you. Of course, if
Good.
you want to
Thank
continue
you.
now.
I must mention the other episode or other big event that happened.
Hmm.
That was in 2020 December to 2021 February,
Hmm.
when our Prime Minister listened to us. We had a chat for 10 minutes, and he felt that the entire policies related to maps, which practically let the foreign giants operate freely, and the
Hmm.
Indian companies could not actually legally do mapping.
Hmm.
That was the challenge. And so that momentum at that time, what happened really changed even if it brought us into a level playing field, we never looked back. We said now the market is opened up for us, like any other Indian company, not just for us. And we have continuously kept going, created so many different use cases which the enterprises and the government is using. And it was in that context when we explained it to the respected minister of what all we are doing as part of our sustainable business. Immediately he said, all these are useful for railways. Why are you not
Nice.
working for railways? I said, you give us a chance. And he immediately said it to us. And then he has tweeted also very
Yes.
clearly that railways would be signing up an MOU with MapmyIndia. So this momentum, what has done internally within the company, I don't mind sharing. Since last 7 days in general, and since today is Monday only, right?
Right, sir.
And the weekend, the Saturday, Sunday, the the I will say not a task or a crack team has been formed, which around 20-30 people who are continuously watching what's happening to the surge, such a huge surge in the download, and making sure that the services are maintained properly. Now,
Right.
we have handled it before also, but this is a different kind. Just think about, there is a map data. What is its quality? Can you search it? And that's where the AI comes in. I'll talk about that also a little bit. How
Please.
is how is the routing happening? Is it the proper routing? It does. I hope it does. Should not be taking you to a river or a unsafe place while you are
Yes.
traveling.
Yes. Like it happened, sir. November 2024, I stated that unfortunate incident.
Yes. So now, along with that comes the other kind of things related to how do we optimize, because there is a cost involved in the server. I hope we all understand. And it's a free app. That's one of the things that people keep telling us, at least our board keeps telling us, that are you realizing the cost involved? uh, well, that's fine, the cost, we are looking at it carefully, but we are definitely keep are working on to see how the entire part can be optimized better. And again, the AI can play a big role in that. Okay, not the kind of what I was listening before, and I'm aware of AI in general. So AI, I put it in two parts. One part is creating the maps, where we have been using AI for the last 5 years, much before people AI became a buzzword, a household word. The other part is the user part, where when if somebody asks a question while driving that I'm hungry, AI has to interpret it in a way that hungry means what, and then show that where is a if there's a restaurant required or a dhaba required or whatever. Now that's the other part we are working on closely, because we are also trying to use the data that we are collecting through our apps and otherwise, the machine learning, and we are doing it all in house.
Right.
So that's the story of what's going on within MapmyIndia. We are very happy that this kind of a government support. We are not saying we have nothing against foreign companies or foreign countries. We always support a level playing field. We always support a fair competition, but the support that the government is giving, in terms, I will say, I will use a loose word called marketing, is what they have said is a marketing that we would not have ever reached. I mean, imagine
Sure.
the in the last 5 days, over 20 lakh views. Forget,
Nice.
not talk about a download, the likes and all that.
Nice.
That's amazing. I mean, I-
Truly is.
So
Truly,
that's
then you and your team for sure, sir, at Ground Zero. First and foremost, thank you so much for bringing us to Ground Zero at MapmyIndia at Mappls. Of course, since you just mentioned 20 lakh views, you mentioned that there have been a lot of likes. There have been a lot of the people are taking to this, and everyone is very excited about it. One of the few comments that we are receiving right now is the fact that there's some people who are mentioning that they're using a version which I believe is a 2022 version. Since actually they've been using, sorry, my apologies, they've been using since 2022, sir. So I just thought that I should add to the euphoria that everyone has been feeling at Map My India for the last 5-6 days, as you mentioned. There are lots of comments which are coming in as we are live right now. So I just thought I'll share that sense
yeah.
of achievement with you to add to it. Number of total of downloads now, sir, how many are they, if I may ask? You mentioned
Over
one day was 2
no,
million, I believe.
the total downloads we have as of now has crossed
Hanji.
35 million.
35 million. Wow. Wow.
It's not a small number, but it's nowhere close to Mr. Google.
Well, sir, and how much in 2 days have we managed as far as the downloads are concerned, especially with this wonderful encouragement being received from the ID minister himself and the government really pushing this forward?
He did a little bit before on 1st of October. Then he did it on this Saturday, which was, I think, I don't know, 8th or 10th or 10th October.
Mm.
So the last 2 days, if you ask, you can safely take it as more than 3 lakh downloads or 3.5 lakhs downloads. I
Again,
don't know.
sir, a big congratulations on that. It is definitely so encouraging. And the fact that people are writing in, that people are engaging, because as of right now, we are live, and people are acknowledging the fact that they've been using it since 2022. So, pre-installation, Rakesh, is a very important question and a policy aspect, which you, of course, have, which I mentioned as well earlier in the report. But you have formally asked the government to mandate Mappls, it be pre-installed, let's say, on all PLI scheme smartphones. That's actually a very bold push for platform access. So, if approved, I want to ask you, Rakesh, how do you plan to handle issues like, let's say, updates, default switching, and fairness to users, which is paramount?
Yeah, unless our product is as good as the other one,
Mm-hmm.
nothing will fly. I
Sure.
am I understand, but we are saying that, look, when you compare two products,
Mm-hmm.
it might have something better here and something better there.
Mm-hmm.
When you drive, you might get two possible routes, one by the other one and one by ours. If that choice is there, you can make a judgment. Sometimes you order from Swiggy and sometimes you order from Zomato, maybe based on price or delivery. Okay. Here also the users, unfortunately, are not even aware of that there exists other than Google. It reminds me of my childhood days when
Mm-hmm.
people say, "Get me kusum ka dalda," as if
Mm-hmm.
dalda was instead of saying vanaspati.
Mm-hmm.
So mappers का Google Map दे दो is, is the kind of a scenario. So now preloading will make a huge difference. When a phone, somebody buys a phone, obviously he will see both. He will have a
Sure.
choice. So he will know at least Mappers exists. There's something, let me try this also. And that's what we are asking for. We are not saying remove Google.
Got it. Makes hell of a lot of sense. And more importantly, Rakesh, the fact that what you said right at the top when you started to talk about this was very simple. You're very well grounded, and I'm pretty sure everyone at MapmyIndia is very well grounded and aware of the fact that finally the product is going to be the king. That is going to make all the difference, which brings me to this. Mappls is now, of course, the first app integrated with India Post DigiPin system, enabling
Yes.
users to generate precise digital addresses anywhere. So I want to ask you this. How do you see this acting as both a product mode and a national public utility?
Okay, very simple.
Haji.
What the Department of Post has done
Hmm.
is created a very nice digipin of a 3.8 meter by 3.8 meter.
Hmm.
But think about it, my office here. The
Hmm.
address is 237 Okhla Phase 3, New Delhi 110048.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Now, when you see that, simply a 10 character code of digipin will not give you a perspective that that this is the office of MapmyIndia.
Sure.
So what we have done nicely integrated is
Hmm.
when somebody is looking for a digipin, if he has a digipin,
Hmm.
then immediately Mappls app shows the, I call it the postal or physical address also. So
Hmm.
it is a hybrid mode, combination of digital
Hmm.
digipin and the physical address, and that's where I think nobody has that physical
Super.
address
Sure.
across the country.
Fair enough. Which actually brings me to this thought, Rakesh, the fact that regional language support and inclusion. You have recently rolled out support for, well, 9 Indian regional languages across
Correct.
the app, which is fabulous, from Kannada to Bengali. So, how do you see language localization influencing adoption in tier 2 and 3 in India? And what challenges does it pose in the user interface and slash the UX? Data mapping, voice recognition.
Yes, right. If I just tell you, or people
Hmm.
ask me also, which are the places from where your maximum number of users are coming from?
Yeah.
I say, okay, other than these four, five, six metros, you know which place? It's coming from Bihar.
Hmm.
That's Hindi.
Hmm.
In the metros, you can think of English also. Okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it is getting popular gradually in the Indian regional languages. We have not done much of communication about the language thing across the country because there is no reason why in the south, particularly the four states, when they really find out that it's available in their language also, I mean they would
Hmm.
love it. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
so you know what? We have to fund it ourselves.
Right.
We take out a portion of our profit from the business
Hmm.
and plow it into this.
Hmm.
Now this is our current model. Tomorrow,
Hmm.
if we have to change, and if we change it, I'll let you know. But
Nice. Nice. And
yeah,
fair enough, Rakesh. The fact that I think the what I could probably sense from when you said that yes, we are funding this. I can sense the fact that right now it is definitely taking off. It is definitely gained that kind of momentum. People are loving it, embracing it, and I'm sure you would be looking at it as something which comes to the front of everyone's mind. So I'm sure it will be done in phases, but those investments will be crucial, which
yes,
actually brings me to this. Uh,
absolutely right. And
Haji.
it's not too far. If we have crossed 35 million, maybe 50, 60 million,
Hmm.
advertisers automatically will come. Okay.
Sure.
And once they come, it can get funded that way also. So the funding is not only borrowing money,
Hmm.
funding, because when Harvard Business Review covered us in early 2000, saying that here is a company
Hmm.
that believes in customer funded business model. We
Hmm.
believe in it, and today also we believe in it. But to accelerate, at times you need external funding.
Sure.
And we did it in 2007, 8, 9, 10 when we got the money from VCs, particularly when Google came in. We said
Hmm.
if we don't do it, we'll be left behind. And we are
Hmm.
happy that we took that action. Today, being a listed company,
Hmm.
we have, we have no issues raising money from the market. It is so simple.
Hmm.
So funding may be required. I don't know how much. Let us first ride over this moment. where this momentum and do some analysis after 15 days or a month.
No, and absolutely a fair call, sir. Makes absolute sense, Rakesh. You had announced this was this was a plan, I believe, to spin off Mappls, which is basically consumer business, into a separate entity with MapmyIndia, investing via CCDs. So investors basically pushed back on that thought, and that plan was reversed. What did you learn from that episode, Rakesh, about founder control, investor trust, and governance expectations?
Very simple learning.
Hanji.
That learning for me, for others, including the board members, that while it is founder driven,
Mhm.
founder controlled through the board, but it is not our private property. When there are approximately 48% public investors, they
Mm.
are equal partners. Okay, so we did reverse. We listened to the market. We accepted our mistake. I think nothing better than that. I'll give you some simple example.
Sure.
Uh, I also learned it that once, if you make a mistake, accepting it gracefully is a much better thing rather than keep defending it. We
Mhm.
haven't. When we started our coming back from the US, the first customer was Tata Steel,
Mhm.
and something went wrong there. The Tata Steel folks, and then Dr. Irani called us and said,
Mhm.
"What happened?" And we
Mhm.
explained it to him. He said, "Imagine a managing director saying that I'm really sorry, I apologize on behalf of Tata Steel, blah blah blah."
Wow.
So, making a mistake, when you do thousands of things, you can make a mistake.
Mm.
It was not a bad corporate governance. It was something I mean, I still feel it could have done much better. The only
Mhm.
issue that investors really came up, which I appreciate, is they see Mapple's consumer as a
Mm.
potential huge business opportunity in the future, and they felt that if it was done by MapmyIndia only as a separate company, that would
Mhm.
have been fine. And that's what where we made the mistake.
Very, very wonderfully put, Rakesh. I must say that. So, matching scale. You've built features like, let's come back to the tech aspect of it. You've built features with like speed camera alerts, junction awareness, real view slash 3D street imagery, etc. But of course, these require a lot of data depth, freshness, all the time ever evolving, and
Mhm.
compute. So, what's your model for maintaining real time quality, Rakesh, across hundreds of cities? And as you had mentioned, more importantly for Mappls right now, because that is where the boom is happening and everyone is really, really taking to the app, rural India.
There is, again here the belief is the more users we have, and I'll give you an example right now.
Hmm.
The
Hmm.
more users you have, like what Google does, is a crowdsourcing, right?
Hmm.
So the more users we may also get through the crowdsourcing, other than what we do otherwise. The only difference is we do get data from crowdsourcing, but we have a process by which we professionally validate.
Hmm.
Now, the one of the things that when we were talking to the minister, he said why he wants to see that Mapples gets popular
Hmm.
is to the more users will come. The moment more users will come, you will catch on the momentum automatically. Coming to the rural areas, believe me, we have an excellent rural map, very
Hmm.
nicely done, but uh, then again working with the government, hopefully in the future, in different ways, where the lot of rural information which are like, every village has many habitats,
Hmm. Hmm.
and those are important things where people live. We are not
Hmm.
doing much on the agro or things like that, okay,
Sure.
today. But
Hmm.
when it comes to anything to do with navigation and analytics,
Hmm.
because we have many customers in the AI analytics area
Hmm.
where we are providing them with, whether it's urban or rural, The potential of consumption power and things at a granular level, not at a district level, what data you get. Creating those is also is a part of our regular work, and that's one area where we have been using AI quite efficiently.
Very nice. Very nice. So it means that the prep is there, all of that is there, and of course, more importantly, the faith is there that the way things are going to scale up, there is at least everything in place for one to absorb that scale up, and of course, also make it go up even further. Which is this? This is a wonderful little feature, Rakesh, which I of course have to mention. Bengaluru just became, well, the first Indian city where drivers can see live traffic signal countdowns directly inside Mappls. I have to thank you collectively from the entire population of Bengaluru. I have to say it. And I'll take a moment of silence to even celebrate and applaud this because of what
Thank
we go through on a regular
uh,
basis. Anyway, I got
af-
distracted.
After this happened in Bengaluru, and when people started getting to know, we got call from Jaipur, Pune, and several other cities
Correct.
that they are saying, "Why don't you do it for our city? Why are you so? I mean, why this
Biased.
bias towards Bengaluru?"
Right. But of course, it's not just a cool feature, Rakesh. It's actually a peek into the future. That's how I understood it, from where actually real time urban infrastructure and navigation apps talk to each other.
No,
So,
that's the kind of support we require from the government. The Bengaluru
fair.
traffic department worked with us, and we made it happen. Now it is a showcase. Any city we can pick up, just tell them we can replicate the model of Bengaluru.
Okay, so that's how basically you are envisioning the fact that scaling this, let's say, digital physical sync across India, and
Yeah.
also more importantly, the next thought as far as my question is concerned is, what does it unlock when Mappls starts taking not just to traffic lights but to, let's say, EV chargers, metro lines, and smart city grids, probably
Correct.
the larger platform.
Right. I think you can, whatever names you mentioned, they are
Haji.
all somehow part of the government, correct?
Hmm.
So these we have in the past also we were engaged with the government, but we didn't do much government business.
Hmm.
Now we are engaging in a big way because
Hmm.
we believe that government itself is going so much of digital transformation in the country.
Hmm.
So becoming their partner they are our natural allies. Okay,
Sure.
and they are happy that we can pick up whatever they are doing, and we can pick up and then take it to the citizens.
Nice. It must have a nice ring to it, right? I just have to mention this, Rakesh, when you said the government and well, Map My India are natural allies. That synergy definitely is bearing a lot of fruit, and we are only wishing that that continues. But
Mhm.
just thought I'll mention that you would have felt nice having said that, no?
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. Please do mention.
Yeah. So this brings me to the next thought, Rakesh, which is Zoho's Sridhar Vembu said this, that Mappls app is very nice. So it's not just the government, by the way, and it's also the ecosystem in itself praising this. And this is of course what he ends up saying, and it reflects decades of research and development, much longer than Google Maps. End quote. You would have enjoyed hearing that last bit, I'm
Yes,
sure.
yes, I did.
That's yes, I know. That's a pretty big compliment, and also a big expectation, Rakesh. So
Uh,
how do you carry such legacy, the weight of that, while still pushing for fast iteration?
it's a big challenge,
Hmm.
and I think as we are growing year after year, the complexities are only increasing. Professionalizing the company, the management, business leaders or tech leaders, that's the only answer. There's no other answer. And at this point of time, we feel that we have professionalized to a great extent, where the professionals are handling day-to-day business and they are able to go ahead. When it comes to conceptualizing a innovation or a product, conceptualizing, not executing it, I do find that the between the three founders, we have we have something special with us, but the execution of that is done very well by the professional team. Now, as you know, that not too many platforms and products in the country which have sustained who came in, but unfortunately could not sustain, right? So building something just for the heck of building and feeling good about it is not a sufficient condition to build something. Yeah.
Regulatory barriers do you see in, let's say, Southeast Asia or Africa?
Well, we have already moved to Southeast Asia.
Okay.
We formed a joint venture with Hyundai Autoever. It's headquartered in Jakarta,
Hmm.
and we have started servicing those countries already. In of course, as a joint venture, we are doing it.
Hmm.
The MENA, the Middle East, and Africa. Again, we are exploring. So at this point of time, because I'm one of those who have come with the background saying think big but execute it step by step. Okay, so the global part, we are at this point of time we are talking about execution for Southeast Asia and MENA. Okay,
Sure.
and over the next 2 years, let's see, and then we'll move on to the other parts of the world. uh, because the beauty is our platform and the product
Hmm.
is country agnostic.
Nice.
So it's only a matter of plugging in the map into that
Hmm.
and,
Hmm.
and do everything.
Sure.
So India is the India first in the sense that here is where we have the map quality which is unparalleled.
Hmm.
Hence, we are succeeding. The other countries, the map quality will come up. The question will come up as the time goes by, that how good we have been able to create. Now the beauty is also when we started making maps, the
Hmm.
technology was hardly there.
Hmm.
Today technology exists. It's a question of what is your process of making the maps. Now, if you ask me what is our biggest IP, I will
Hmm.
say our biggest IP is not just the data. The biggest IP is the process we use to build the maps.
Sure. Sure. And of course, I'm pretty sure, Rakesh, you would like to obviously add to that the process and obviously the people behind it, because I always sense it whenever you're talking about Map My India and your team, you say it with a lot of pride. So I just thought that I'll add to that thought of yours.
Yes, of course, we need many, many more great professionals, and we are looking for them. If anybody is going to hear that, I would love to talk to them because the opportunities at MapmyIndia is enormous.
Wonderful. Final thoughts, Rakesh. And of course, a big congratulations. But your final thoughts and maybe the message that you want to give.
Well, the simple message would be to at least to the Indian users
Hmm.
that please try it as our minister said, you will like it. You will find some differences with Google Maps. Please let us know. Either it could be you might have to change your mindset, or we might make it better. the more you use it and the more you tell us, we are listening. I think in the social media, more than 10,000 comments have come up. And we replied to each one of them. Either they were ignorant or whatever, or they could not understand, or there were some very good suggestions. So we have put it in the pipeline.
Beautiful. Well, all I have to say to you, Rakesh, and everyone at MapmyIndia, this is only just the start. The entire country is euphoric about this development, and you have seen it with the way it has responded, with the downloads, with the comments, with the interaction, with everything. I think the clarion voice is there, and I hope that everyone at MapmyIndia is hearing it and is going to continue to keep responding to it like you have been doing. Thank you so much for joining us, Rakesh, and wishing you and everyone in your team all the best.
Thank you.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this isn't just a map war. It's actually the infrastructure decade where India's maps, addresses, and mobility telemetry are Indian by design. Well, on that note, we're going to take a short little break on front page, and we're going to be back with lots more. So, well, that gives you an opportunity and some time to map whatever you're doing. And while you're doing that, think AI, think AIM.
We are AIM Media House. Born in Nama, Bengaluru. Built for the world. We make tech make sense. We tell stories that matter. This is the era of AI, and we are the ones telling its story. Think AI, think AIM.
And I have seen this place grow from strength to strength. Speakers, the sessions, and the vibe around that.
Love the vibe. Love to see how big it has gotten over the years.
The largest AI conference in India.
Cypher has definitely attained a cult status.
Artificial intelligence. AI. Coexisting. AI.
We are AIM Media House. Born in Nama, Bengaluru. Built for the world. We make tech make sense. We tell stories that matter. This is the era of AI, and we are the ones telling its story. Think AI, think AIM.
And I have seen this place grow from strength to strength. Speakers, the sessions, and the vibe around that.
Love the vibe. Love to see how big it has gotten over the years.
The largest AI conference in India.
Cypher has definitely attained a cult status.
Artificial intelligence. AI. Coexisting. AI.
We are AIM Media House. Born in Nama, Bengaluru. Built for the world. We make tech make sense. We tell stories that matter.
Welcome back to Front Page. Well, India has set a start date for AI literacy. From the 2026-27 academic year, artificial intelligence will officially be taught from class 3, with CBSE building the framework and a plan to train over 1 crore teachers across the country. A pilot is already live, where teachers are using AI tools to design lesson plans. This is not another elective. This is the moment AI becomes a foundational subject on par with reading, writing, and arithmetic. Earlier on Front Page, we called this out. Make sure to check it out if you haven't already. In that conversation, we were joined by Rahul John Aju, a 16-year-old AI prodigy and founder of AI Realm Technologies, and Gurumurthy Kasinathan, a veteran education policy leader with over 3 decades of experience. Rahul spoke about the urgency of introducing AI early, bridging the private-public school gap and empowering teachers through co-creation. Gurumurthy, on the other hand, emphasized the need for critical digital literacy, not just tool usage, drawing sharp lines between agency, equity, and sovereignty in AI education. This, well, is India's move from scattered state pilots to a national AI literacy baseline. The goal? Very simple. Make AI a core skill, not a privilege for a few elite schools. More than 18,000 CBSE schools already run a 15-hour AI module for class 6. Now, the starting point shifts earlier, ensuring that students across rural and urban India enter the AI decade on equal footing. Class 3 to 5, which is the foundations. Students will begin with everyday AI voice assistants, cameras, and simple logical patterns. They learn about privacy, responsible use, and develop problem solving skills through unplugged activities. Class 6 to 8, applied literacy. The existing 15-hour module scales nationally, blending multimodal projects, text, audio, and image, with discussions on data bias and responsible AI. Class 9 to 10, build and evaluate. AI becomes a structured skill subject. Students basically learn workflows, collecting data, prompting, or training models, evaluating results. The uptake is already surging, with nearly 8 lakh students opting for AI this year alone. Class 11 to 12, pathways. Students specialize in domain tracks like healthcare, sustainability, fintech, or citizen services. They work on capstone projects, undergo Viva assessments, and can stack these credits with skilling missions and internships. The heaviest lift is actually teacher enablement, which is very important, crucial. CBSE plans to orient and train 10 million plus teachers over the next 2 to 3 years. The pilot already lets teachers co design lesson plans with AI, adding local context rather than replacing pedagogy. This builds on years of smaller training programs and finally brings AI readiness into day to day classroom practice. You know what? I just remembered our previous conversation on this, like I'd mentioned. As Gurumurthy, if I remember correctly, previously underscored this aspect that we don't just need digital literacy, we need critical digital literacy. Teachers should know when to use AI and when not to. This isn't a niche experiment anymore. It's actually a national pipeline in motion. India is standing at the edge of a skill shift. 2 million traditional tech jobs face displacement by the end of the decade, but up to 4 million new AI driven roles can emerge if the talent funnel is built now. Teaching AI from class 3 is not about gadgets in classrooms, it's actually about securing the future workforce, and that too early. So 2025-26 prep year. Basically, CBSE releases the AI framework and teacher handbooks. The pilot expands. States align textbooks, infrastructure gaps are mapped. 2026-27 go live. AI enters classrooms from class 3. Bridge modules for 4 and 5, then 6 and 8 module becomes a national standard. 9-12 deepens with domain specialization. 2028 and beyond. Well, all schools complete the 3 to 8 literacy cycle. Senior secondary pathways align with India's AI talent mission, which brings us to these facets. Equity gaps, shared labs, offline kits, low compute activities, and open content ensure no child is left behind. The over automation, well, assessment shifts from, well, what the AI produced to how the student used it. Viva checks and reflection journals maintain human agency. Privacy, no biometric capture of minors, no unmonitored data collection, preference for India hosted or on prem models. The vendor lock in, open standards, interoperable content, and transparent audit rails over tool specific dependence. We have discussed these in our front page earlier, and now this. Schools, well, set policies for AI assisted assignments, ensure basic infrastructure, filtered internet, and shared devices. The teachers, well, start using pilot tools to draft lesson plans, focus on bias and ethics, and keep AI usage logs. The parents, well, ask clear questions. How is my child documenting AI use? What privacy guardrails protect their data? This is India's moonshot for talent. When today's third graders actually graduate in 2035, AI won't be an advantage. It will actually be a necessity. And by putting AI into classrooms this early, India is turning a potential jobs crisis into a talent opportunity and positioning itself as a global AI talent powerhouse. Well, finally, AI education from class 3 is not about teaching kids to chat with a bot. It's actually about raising a generation that can build, critique, and govern the technology that will shape their world. If done right, this will be remembered as the year India rewrote its talent story, classroom by classroom, child by child. And in our exclusive with Andrew Feldman, CEO and co founder of Cerebras, well, he called this out. Actually, two realities that tie directly into today's wonderful aspirational story. India's K 12 and university pipeline is strategic. He praised India's schools and universities for consistently producing world class engineers and stressed that globally, the two scarcest inputs in AI right now are power and engineers. India can lead on the latter if it doubles down on education. Policy plus talent wins. He noted India's education system and policy momentum give companies like Cerebras and others alike the confidence to expand engineering teams here because breakthrough AI needs not just silicon but a very steady stream of skilled graduates. That is exactly why AI literacy from class 3 matters. It doesn't just modernize classrooms, it actually future proofs India's engine of talent. And finally, on front page, one of the world's most influential AI companies, Anthropic, the maker of Claude, is officially partnering with the government of India to host the Global AI Summit in February 2026. This isn't just a symbolic handshake, it's a signal. India is no longer just a participant in the global AI race, it's actually becoming the stage itself. The announcement came after CEO Dario Amode met with Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Union IT Minister Ashwini Vaishnav in New Delhi. Amode said Anthropic is well keen to work together to advance India's digital ambitions, end quote, calling the country's developer ecosystem and talent pool unmatched. During the meeting, PM Modi emphasized India's human-centric and responsible, end quote, AI vision, a recurring theme in the India AI mission. In response, Amode committed to supporting safe and responsible AI and strengthening Anthropic's footprint in India. Just days earlier, Anthropic had already announced its first India office in Bengaluru, set to open in early 2026, marking its second Asia Pacific base after Tokyo. And this isn't just any expansion. India has become Claude's second largest market. Right behind the United States, Claude code usage in India is actually up 5 times since June, driven by developers, enterprises, and startups building on top of frontier models. Yes, all of those people, all of you guys watching. Anthropic plans to anchor its India presence on 3 key pillars. And here they are: empowering startups to build globally competitive AI solutions, deploying AI for public good in education, healthcare, and agriculture, and partnering with enterprises and government on responsible AI. We have covered all of these developments extensively on front page. We've done this in the past. Please make sure that you check it out if you haven't already. Anthropic's expansion actually aligns with a much larger wave of global AI majors planting their flags in India, including OpenAI and Perplexity AI. But what makes Anthropic's approach different as its deep alignment with India's national AI mission? The upcoming India AI Impact Summit 2026, to be hosted in New Delhi, will actually be a landmark moment, putting India at the center of AI governance, safety, and innovation. This move comes as Qualcomm, OpenAI, Google, DeepMind, and now Anthropic are all converging on India, betting big on its talent base, policy framework, and infrastructure readiness. In fact, Qualcomm CEO Cristiano Amon also met PM Modi this week to discuss AI, 6G, and semiconductor strategy, part of a coordinated national tech diplomacy wave. Well, for those unaware, India will host the third Global AI Summit, aka India AI Impact Summit, on February 19 till the 20th, 2026, in New Delhi, a high stakes 2 day gathering where global leaders, startups, policymakers, and researchers will converge to shape the future of AI. This edition, well, marks a turning point. Besides Anthropic partnering with the government of India, major global tech players including OpenAI, Google DeepMind, Microsoft, Amazon, wow, that's a long list, and Qualcomm are expected to participate alongside Indian AI startups selected under the India AI mission. The summit will feature Udan, an AI pitch fest spotlighting breakthrough innovations from Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities, global innovation challenges for youth and women founders, and of course, a frontier research symposium bringing together the global south and international research communities. So, much like Bharat Mobility and Startup Mahakumbh, the event will host an AI expo with 300 plus exhibitors from over 30 countries, showcasing cutting edge solutions in AI safety, compute, language technology, and sovereign models. This will be the successor to France's 2025 AI Action Summit, following previous editions in South Korea 2024 and, of course, the United Kingdom in 2023. And, of course, this marks India's arrival on the world stage as a central hub for responsible and inclusive AI development. Finally, this isn't just another summit announcement. This is actually a power play, a signal that India is emerging, if it's already not emerged, not just as an AI adopter, but as a rule shaper, innovation hub, and trusted partner in the global AI order. And of course, Anthropic, one of the most closely watched AI labs in the world, wants to be right at the center of it all. Well, that brings us to the end of Front Page tonight. Front Page, of course, is on AIM Network, India's definitive media organization and voice on everything AI and technology. Front Page is powered by MachineCon 2025, an invite only residential summit for GCC heads, exclusively brought to you by AIM Network. So, well, until next time, think AI, think Bharat, think maps, and the list goes on. But finally, think AIM.